You've been scrolling through endless listings, wondering if there's a guitar that's not just a pretty name on a headstock but something that actually stays in tune through a gig, feels comfortable after a couple of hours, and doesn't leave a hole in your wallet. That hesitation is real. Most players end up with an instrument that either sounds great in the shop but falls apart on stage, or one that's cheap enough to break the moment you lift it off the stand. If you're looking for a reliable, easy tool with Acoustic-Electric that actually delivers on the promises you see in the ads, you've probably already heard the buzz about Martin's Modern Road series. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. What makes the SC10E stand out isn't a list of specs, it's how those specs translate into everyday use. The first thing you notice when you pick it up is the Sure-Align neck system. Martin designed that to keep the neck perfectly straight from the factory, which means you won't spend weeks tweaking truss rods just to get a comfortable action. In my own setup, the neck felt fast right out of the box, no dead spots on the lower frets, and the low-profile shape allowed my hand to glide across chords and single-note runs without the cramped feeling you sometimes get on older dreadnoughts. For a player who spends half the day rehearsing and the other half gigging, that consistency can be the difference between a smooth rehearsal and a frustrating one. The built-in E1 electronics with a tuner are another practical piece of the puzzle. The pickup sits under the saddle, so you get a clean, balanced acoustic tone that doesn't sound overly bright when you plug into a PA. The tuner is a small LED display on the control panel, and it actually works. Press the button, pluck a string, and the needle snaps to pitch. I tried it in a noisy rehearsal room, and the tuner locked onto the note within a second, which saved me from having to pull out a separate clip-in tuner mid-song. That kind of integrated tool is a time saver for gigging singer-songwriters who want to keep the rig light and avoid extra cables. Now, let's talk about the tone you get from the Spruce top and Sapele back. Spruce is a classic choice for its responsiveness, and on the SC10E it gives a bright attack that shines when you're strumming rhythmic patterns. The Sapele, often called a budget-friendly mahogany, adds a warm mid-range that rounds out the sound. In practice, the guitar feels comfortable both unplugged and amplified. I used it for an intimate coffeehouse set, and the acoustic voice carried well without any EQ tricks. When I switched to a small club stage with a PA, the electric output retained that same character, just a bit louder, and the built-in tuner let me get back on pitch in seconds after a quick chord change. Every guitar has trade-offs, and the SC10E is no exception. Because it's a modern road model, the body is a bit smaller than a full-size dreadnought, roughly a 000 size. That makes it easy to transport and more comfortable for players under 5'9", but it also means you lose some of the deep low-end thump you'd hear from a larger body. If you're a folk player who relies on a booming bass response to fill a larger venue, you might feel that the sound gets a little thin when you go full volume. Another practical consideration is the electronics simplicity. The E1 system offers a single pickup and basic volume/tone controls, with no onboard EQ. For a bedroom player or a small stage performer, that's fine, but if you need a more sculpted tone on the fly, say, cutting the mids for a solo acoustic in a rock band, you'll have to rely on external pedals or a mixer. Who should actually consider this guitar? If you're an intermediate player who's finally ready to step off the couch and play live, the SC10E gives you a professional brand name, a reliable neck, and a plug-in solution that won't break the bank. Singer-songwriters who want a guitar that looks modern, feels comfortable during long set lists, and can be swapped between acoustic and amplified settings without swapping instruments will find it a solid fit. The included softshell case also adds a modest layer of protection for touring, which is a nice bonus when you're juggling gear on the road. On the flip side, there are clear reasons to walk away. If you're a purist who wants the pure, unamplified resonance of a high-end dreadnought with a hand-carved top, the SC10E's modest body size and relatively simple electronics might feel like a compromise. Also, if you're a professional gigging musician who requires a full-range EQ and the deepest bass response for larger venues, you'll probably end up pairing this guitar with a more robust preamp or looking at a bigger model. Finally, if you're on a shoestring budget and can't stretch to the price point of a Martin, there are other brands that offer similar specs for less, though they may lack the neck.